Hello. Let's go ahead and play through the 13th game from Bobby Fischer's My 60 Memorable Games. It is between Fischer and Gligoric. It is in the 1959 Candidates Tournament. And let's see if I can play the game both sides from memory. So I'm using Lucas Chess to memorize a game. And let's just bring it up. Here you can see my previous attempts. And let's go ahead and train. Lucas Chess has this really nice feature where you can have various options. I am playing both the white and the black side. I want the white side of the board on the bottom of the screen and the black on the top. So we'll set it this way. Lucas Chess also has this interesting type. That is, you can either go through the game sequentially like you normally would, or you can just have it show you random positions from the game and you have to then give the correct move. So that's really an interesting feature. Okay, let's go ahead and give it a go. And here we are with the board. Now I'm going to get rid of some of these boards behind and make it look a little bit cleaner. So that should be good to go. All right. Well, if it's Bobby Fischer playing the white side of the game, you know he's playing E4 best by test. Gligoric says, let's play a Sicilian. Bobby says, that is fine by me. One of the things that I did in studying this game and just looking at this was I learned the names of all the possible moves here. Well, maybe not every possible one, but this is the O'Kelly variation. This would be the modern variation. This is the French variation, which we've already seen in two of the previous games. One was with Sherwin, and I can't think of the name of the other. I can't think of the name of the other, but we've already seen it a couple of times. And then this would be the hyper-accelerated dragon. This would be the Nimzovich, and this would be what's called the Old Sicilian. So we have a number of possibilities here, and it's kind of interesting to just think about, all of that and all the decisions that you have to make. Gligoric plays the Old Sicilian, and Bobby says, let's go into the open. And sure enough, here we are. And here, if you're a fan of the Kalashnikov, and why not, you would play E5. Gligoric, you're hoping for E5, but Gligoric doesn't play that. He plays Knight F6, and Bobby replies Knight C3. And now again, what's he going to play? Is he going to move this pawn or this one? What are we going to get? Well, he ends up playing D6. You're hoping, if you're a fan of the Sveshnikov, you're hoping for E5. That's certainly what I would expect if I were playing this, say, online or in a blitz game. I would expect E5. It's very, very, at least in my encounters, it's very popular. Gligoric plays D6. All right, now Bobby plays his typical Sozin bishop. In fact, I would call this a Fischer-Sozin bishop, getting it on this A2 to G8 diagonal. And he's attacking this F7 square. Fischer really liked to do this. Gligoric follows up with a bishop move, and then Bobby just tucks this bishop back here on B3. Okay, now what? I guess this would be more of a Scheveningen. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think I'm right. Gligoric, however, plays G6. Now this is looking very much like a dragon. We also don't have A6 on the board, so this is looking like a dragon. Bobby's going to go ahead and play f3, guarding this g4 square, so we don't want any incursions of the knight. Now, you would think, and this has messed me up quite a bit, you would think that Gligoric would be playing bishop to g7 here. He doesn't. He moves his knight over to a5. To me, it looks like he's attacking this bishop, and to me, that sounds like a really good idea to get rid of this powerful bishop. So now what? Well, I guess there's really nothing to do in terms of defending this bishop, so Bobby plays bishop to g5. And does Gligoric take? No. Gligoric is going to eventually move his rook over here, but is he going to do it now? No, he's not. He is going to move his bishop up here to g7. We're continuing to look like a dragon. Bobby plays queen to d2, so he's got this nice battery. Maybe he wants to get rid of that dragon bishop. He's also opening up lines for castling on the queen side. Gligoric does not like that bishop there. He immediately pushes it back. Does he castle? You would think maybe he should castle, but he doesn't. He moves his rook over here to c8, and that's messed me up many times in trying to be able to replay these moves. I would have castled. So he's got this attack, and he's also got this square protected in case the knight wants to come there. Fischer castles, queenside. And now Gligoric does not castle, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he moves his knight here to c4. This was a typical move. In the annotations, Bobby mentions it, and what was the typical follow-up was bishop takes and then rook takes. And Bobby doesn't play that. Bobby plays e2. This was regarded as an innovative and interesting move because he's giving up the dark squared bishop. So this will get annotated with a exclam question mark. And if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look it up. If I'm not mistaken, Braunstein annotated it with a double exclamation point. So that's how they regarded this move. So yeah, Gligoric says, "I'm taking your dark squared bishop." Bobby says, "Okay." All right, now what? Okay, we are going to get a castle here. I can't think of any. Eventually, he's going to be bringing his pieces out here, but I'm pretty sure right now he's castling. Good. And Bobby's now going to advance these pawns. In his annotations, Bobby does talk about, he says timing is everything, and he says if you advance the H pawn first, everything will get locked up. So he goes ahead and advances G4. Gligoric develops the queen, and now he advances H4. So the attack is coming. Gligoric wants to slow it down. He plays E6. Obviously concerned about this light squared bishop. To which I reply, well, if you were concerned about the light squared bishop, why didn't you take it with your knight? But we all make choices. Okay, with this pawn coming up here, this knight's going to come back here. Maybe it's, you know, going over this way. That knight had been protecting this square, so now the rook is going to come up. And Bobby's ready for his attack. G5. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Knight H5. Where have we seen that knight on H5 before? Game 2, Fischer versus Larson. Bobby immediately follows up with F4. Is he pushing his pawn? All right, Gligoric has to make a move. I'm pretty sure what he does is he comes over here. He's also going to bring his queen back. I think he does his rooks. I think he doubles his rooks first. Got that one right. Bobby plays a defensive move, certainly, king to B1, but maybe it's also a waiting move. I don't know. Now Gligoric puts his queen on B6, offering to trade. Bobby says, "Niet." And Gligoric plays his rook here to the 5th rank. I don't know exactly why. I haven't looked at this with a chess engine. I don't know exactly why. If you do, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'm not sure. Well, I guess maybe for this square, maybe to protect that square. What Bobby sees is that this pawn is now under defended, and he brings his queen back here to D3. So we get this interesting movement of the white queen along the 3rd rank. However, Bobby makes an annotation at this point, and he says that the commentators thought this was a blunder. There was some grandmaster that got a demonstration board and said, well, this has to be a blunder. Well, it does appear to be a bit of a blunder. Do you see it? So this knight here is overworked. It's defending both the F4 and the C3 square. And Gligoric sees this, that he can win a pawn. He can win the F4 pawn. Did Bobby just miss this? I think not. I think Fischer has a devilish plan, a trick up his sleeve, and we're going to see it play out in real time. So Gligoric says, I can win a pawn, and I'm going to do it. Knight takes the pawn on F4. Maybe Gligoric is saying, Mr. Fischer, you seem to have dropped a pawn. And Bobby says, well, yeah. Yeah, I did. But tell me, where are you going to put your knight? Well, where can Gligoric put his knight? None of these squares. He can only put his knight here. Gligoric says, I can put my knight here. You've dropped a pawn. I win a pawn. Yeah, Yeah, but this is exactly what Fischer loved to do. In fact, he says in his annotations that he has played this move so much that he wanted a patent on it. In fact, let me just look at the annotation here. Where does he say it? Ah, yes. I've made this sacrifice so often, I feel like applying for a patent. Oh, well, let's go ahead and play the sacrifice, because this game is coming to a close. Rook takes. He sacrifices the rook. And there we go. So Gligoric is looking at this, and he needs to get some resources back here to the king side. He brings his bishop back. Now, this could be a nasty discovered attack. So Bobby plays the queen h6. And he gives it an exclamation point. This is a really good move to do that. And Gligoric says, if Fischer can sacrifice a rook for a knight, so can I. Ha-ha. And so Gligoric has his attack going. But it's not fast enough. What does Bobby play in this position? This is a great, this is a great one. What would you play in this position? Right? I would be tempted, in fact, I have been tempted many times in reviewing this game, to play my rook over here to h1. Bobby plays g6. He can certainly now put his queen on h7. Gligoric removes the pawn. Now what? Rook h1. Gligoric says, I will stop you. Bobby plays queen h7. In his annotations, he will say, that's a mistake, actually. There's a quicker checkmate playing bishop takes e6. Fair enough. Fair enough. There we go. And ended and got through this one this time without any errors. I'll go ahead and close this, and we will bring up the other windows. So this is, yep, I got through it. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. Game number 13, Fischer versus Gligoric, 1959 Candidates Tournament. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.